Oh, cool. Hey guys, what time is it? We have 4 minutes. I hope you guys get on video because I don't want to be talking to myself. Okay, cool. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Amanda, she's not going to be popping on, so it's just going to be me today. How does my hair look?
Looks great.
Your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
Where do you work at?
So I'm in Oklahoma. I'm in Norman.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been in real estate?
So this is technically my second year, but I'm considering it my first because last year I was pregnant and on maternity leave and on bed rest, so I didn't really get to
Yeah.
So this is technically my first year.
Yeah, and how's it going?
Good so far.
That's amazing. I guess were things weird for you with the coronavirus and whatnot?
Yeah, honestly, since I've started, it's all been weird because as soon as I got my license, I got put on bed rest, and my mentor was pregnant the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And she was on bed rest too. And then I had the baby, and then I was on maternity. And then when I was ready to dive into it, COVID happened.
Yeah.
But I have a listing that I've been working with buyers. So I have one under contract right now, and then my buyers are supposed to close next week. So it hasn't been too bad. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Good to hear. You just got to keep the momentum going, right?
Yeah, right, for sure.
Oh, Morgan said she's a hot mess right now. No video.
Got done working out, so I am like sweating, just not a pretty picture right now.
No worries at all. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah. How are you?
Good. What area are you in?
I'm actually in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, and didn't everything shut down in New Jersey?
Yes.
Real estate wise. I know there was like 4 states that I had heard of.
Yeah. So I actually just put out an email to my office because we're doing a virtual open house this weekend.
Okay.
So I put out if anyone needed assistance and seeing, I haven't done it yet. So this would be my first time, but that's where the direction that we're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everything's been like internet based, virtual, and
so there's no plan to open up.
They're opening up like hair salons and gyms and things like that on the 22nd. I know that we can go into our office like if it's needed, but technically we can't really be there. Like we have to follow certain guidelines.
Yeah.
It's not really like open yet.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah.
That's such a blessing.
It is. It's been quite a while and it's been quite a shift, but yeah, it will be exciting to get back to normalcy and reopening. What about you guys? Are you guys
well, honestly, I feel like things were shut down for like a solid month, maybe a month and a half, but then, they started opening things up and it's just been really relaxed in my opinion. I mean, some things were weird, and different, and some, only a certain number of people are allowed to go into certain places, but I feel like it really wasn't as bad as I thought. Like I had been thinking that it was going to take months to get back to normal.
Yeah.
So.
Hey y'all.
Hi.
Discount tire.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I wasn't able to record, so I'm glad that you popped on.
It's recording. We're good.
Cool. Yeah. It said I needed host. I need to be the host or something.
Okay.
So are you just popping in right now, or are you staying the whole time?
I'm going to try to stay. Hopefully my tire will be done soon so that I can get back to moving, but I'm going to be on for a little bit at least.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just have like all the tips and suggestions to share, but the thing is that I feel as though we both run our businesses so differently. And in my opinion, if you're wanting, because this is about, being a newer real estate agent and attracting more business, lead generating, how to get leads. But I mean, shoot, even if you've been in the business for a while, you always are trying to get more leads, right? More business. So I think this will be great and pertains to everybody. But if I feel as though if you're wanting to get now quicker business, and the least expensive option is the for sale by owner and expired. Why don't you say, Amanda?
Absolutely. And you guys know that that's really what I started my business on. So that's both of those platforms are, just like you said, they're very cost effective ways, and they are sellers, which we love seller leads because they give us leverage. Sellers bring buyers, and also that they've raised their hand that they have a problem, and that's that they need to sell their home. So yes, they've raised their hand, they're motivated, and with the expireds, we know that they are willing to pay a commission. For sale by owners, that might be an objection that you come across, but yeah, those are two definite now ways to grow your business.
So I had a conversation with a real estate agent, one of my friends, Brittany, she's usually on here, but she had messaged me that her business has slowed down some recently, and she was asking me for tips on exactly what we're talking about. I told her to get on this call today, but I was telling her, I was like, honestly, the best cost-effective way is you need to call those FSBOs. They want to sell their house. Those expireds, they want to sell their house. Why aren't you calling them? And she basically said that it's just been a challenge for her mentally with her self-confidence and just feeling so fearful of these people, like, oh God, they're going to hang up on you. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree that that's we're all feeling that way? And I'm sure Amanda, who freaking crushes it with it, I'm sure at some times has self-doubt. But I feel as though we have to do things to get ourselves past that. And maybe you need to put in some work on building self-confidence. I don't think that any of us were just born with self-confidence. And I know as soon as I got into the business that I was this shy, timid, quiet girl. And whenever I look at my videos, I just cringe because I'm just like, hi, I'm Stevie. And just so different than what I am now. But I think I had to put in the work to build this self-confidence and to be fearless. And I think we all struggle with that. And there's so many ways to help you, reading books. There's a million books out there. And you guys, it really works. It gets me fired up to educate myself and hear stories from other entrepreneurs, podcasts. Every time, I constantly, when I'm in the office, that's what I'm listening to is podcasts, entrepreneur business podcasts. But also what has been really helpful for me is listening to other real estate agents make those live calls. If you YouTube realtor making FSBO calls, making expired calls, honestly, I don't dabble with FSBOs and expireds, but here I still listen to those videos because there's still a lot of the same objectives that I'm dealing with in my business. And I feel as though it's very helpful to hear other realtors and how their tone is and how they speak to people. And I have just been able to you are constantly listening to it, even if you're working and have it in the background, your brain is still retaining this information. And I feel like that's what's been really helpful for me building confidence. And, I think we all probably struggle with it in some sense. Did you have anything you want to add to that, Amanda? Or maybe she's talking to the car people.
Sorry, y'all, just got my car back.
Oh, okay. No worries at all.
I totally agree with you. I was able to hear part of what you had mentioned, and that's, earning the right, I would say, to call for sale by owners and expireds. Nobody just knows what to say, but if you prepare yourself every single day for scripts and objection handlers, you're going to put yourself in a better position to be able to feel more confident, have the conversation, set the appointment, and take the listings. So I would say if you are not script practicing on a daily basis, you need to get a script practicing partner, somebody who is willing to show up the same time as you every single day and just script practice your heart out for 30 minutes straight. You're going to get so much more ahead of the game just by simply doing that.
I like that. And I was, just thinking about this the other day, how much value I provide to my buyers and my sellers now. And I was thinking about it, how like in the beginning, I was so new, and I'm so thankful for those clients, because I'm just like, dang, like, just like if they were to work with me now, it's like so different. And I'm just being honest, because in the beginning, the test doesn't teach you all of these things, right? And so you have to go through the process. And I didn't start out being this amazing realtor who was extremely knowledgeable. If I'm being honest, I had to go through that process of honestly me learning all of the things, and a lot of things in this business I feel like is very hands-on, and you don't really get the education, you don't really learn until you go through that process. So I mentioned that for like with calling FSBOs, just think in the beginning you're gonna suck and you're not gonna be good, but you're not gonna get any better unless you actually go through that process and you learn. And then you're just gonna look back and you might think, wow, in the beginning I really sucked, and gosh, I stuttered and I messed up and I didn't know what to say and forgot to follow up. But then you look back and you realize like how much you've learned, and you're such a better agent. So I just think, you just got to start and you got to do it. But that is honestly the best thing, the advice, if you don't have money, to call these for sale by owners and these expired listings. And there's these tools out there now where you can use a triple line dialer, and you can call 3 people at once and call 100 people in an hour. I mean, it's amazing what you could do. But my friend, she had mentioned that she's been mailing FSBOs, and that's what actually started the conversation. I was like, well, are you calling too? Like, you can't just mail them. I mean, I'm sure it works. Like, if you mail so many people over and over, you spend all that money and you might get a lead out of it. It just doesn't seem very promising. But, calling and stopping by, and there's services where you can get their email. I just feel like, well, that's what's going to make a difference. That's how you're going to be able to show up and provide value to them, and for them to really think of you, not just by a mailer. I'm not calling anybody that mails me anything. If I'm being honest. So I just wanted to mention that before I dive into all these things that I actually utilize in my business. Unless you have something else you want to mention, Amanda, about those expired.
Yeah, just one more thing. Did we talk about the free and the paid ways to get these leads?
No, go ahead. This is all you.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is, yes, just like Stevie said, there are systems like Mojo Dialer, RedX, Vulcan 7, where you can pay to get names and numbers and a dialer if you choose to. Should you not have the money to do that, there's free versions. And let me go over those for you, because starting out, you might not have the money immediately to put these into action, especially if you're like Stevie and I. We're playing red light, green light with our expenses. We're stopping all those unnecessary expenses and putting a green light on everything else that matters. So the free way for expireds is to look up in your MLS anybody's home that expired, compare their address to the seller's name. And then the website that you can use is fastpeoplesearch.com, F-A-S-T, fastpeoplesearch.com. And you can do a reverse lookup. And so what that means is you could type in their address, 123 Main Street, Arlington, Texas, and then it will pull up sellers' names and profiles. So you're going to say, okay, John and Donna Smith live there, so I'm going to find John Smith. Okay, got it. There might be 4 numbers attached to John's name. Call them all. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look up Donna Smith, and I'm going to call all the numbers attached to her. I'm going to call them all, voice and leave voicemails if they don't answer until I find the correct number.
Nice.
So that is how I get expired numbers. And then for sale by owner is through Zillow. So just pull up Zillow, go to for sale by owners in the area that you want to work in, and it will tell you the seller's name and number next to their for sale by owner profile in Zillow. So if you're like me, where you're just like, you know, bam, 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 I want to knock all these names and numbers out, what I did with expireds was I would print out their MLS sheet, and on the back of it, I put their name, their number, and then the wife's name and number. And then for sale by owners, I would just either print it out on Zillow with their name and number, or simply enter it into an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be fancy, y'all. My main goal was just, I want to call through as many numbers as I can by noon. And so that was the way of doing it. And if you need to, you know, then go through and add them into your system, or hire a VA to do it for an hour, you know, you could simply do that too. But I just wanted to go over those systems so that you can say, okay, I'm leaving this mastermind call and I want to take action immediately. How do I do it if I am on a budget? That's how you do it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I really love Mariah Crawford on YouTube. She's a real estate agent out in Seattle, and she has videos of her making these live calls, and then also she gives all these tips, all these suggestions, shares with you exactly everything that she mails out to them. Her YouTube channel is really awesome, so I highly suggest. So I wanted to mention things that I do currently, but mostly what I did in the beginning, because when I got into real estate, I didn't have any money. And her name is Mariah Crawford. Morgan had asked what her name is. So when I first got started, I was super shy, super timid, didn't really want to reach out. I mean, I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and I went to high school here, but I had moved away after high school, and I didn't really keep in touch with people, and I moved back, and really I just made all new friends. I still was connected to people on Facebook, but really felt like I didn't have a huge sphere besides like people that I worked with at my other job. And to me, I didn't have money to spend. So I was all about just meeting people. So open houses were awesome. But there's so much more to that. And it makes me cringe when realtors are like, I hate open houses, and they've done it like 2 times and they're like, no one showed up. And then I'm like, oh, well, did you talk to the neighbors or do an ad or anything? And they're just like, no. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, well, you're the problem. You have to leverage this whole open house thing. And there's just so much more behind it. And it's a conversation for another day. But just a couple quick things is like, you have to prepare for this open house. Run ads. They work. Like all these lead generating sources, they all work if you work. So run an ad promoting that open house, giving the address, but not throwing the price, not throwing, all the details in there. You want them to come out there and come meet with you. And, doing ads, with Mojo Sales, you can call into the neighborhood, tell the homeowners that you're going to be there on Saturday doing an open house and you'd love for them to come by. Then that day of the open house or the day before, going door to door, introducing yourself. And maybe you've already chatted with them on the phone, which is even better. And then inviting them over to the open house, seeing if they want a market analysis. It's all about branding, and you want to meet as many people as possible. So if no one comes to your open house, well, at least you talk to like 50 homeowners that day. So that's a win. And then you actually host the open house. And what I would do at the open house was people who would come in, I'm getting their information, yes, but I feel like I'm just not salesy because they don't, and I love going to other open houses and seeing how realtors do their open house. And some of them are just salesy, and they're just like, here, let me show you this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Are you interested or not? And I just kind of was like, not even so much talking about the house. I was just trying to get to know them. And then I had my guides there, and I would just say to them a couple of things. I'd pull out the guide and I would be like, yeah, are you needing closing costs covered? Because that's about 3% of the purchase price. And on this house, it's about $9,000 in addition to your down payment. So this is how I would show up and provide value, by asking them this question. And then they'd be like, oh, we had no idea that we had closing costs. I didn't realize it was that much. And that, or you can mention other upfront costs or other things about the process. And you're just there to provide value and give them service. And then you're like, here's all the upfront costs that you need to know with purchasing. You can take my guide with you. So you're giving them something, right? And then just honestly building up that relationship with them and being super personable. And then, sending them a video message afterwards. Hey, it was so nice meeting you and your kids. And I look forward to chatting with you. And then you get your email. I'm constantly trying to build up my email list, even to now. Like I want to have a massive email list, and I've been building this from the get-go. And also my mailing list for addresses, I'm always building that up too. And just think I'm 5 years in, and just think, if you're not 5 years in, but 5 years later, like how many email addresses and mailing addresses you can get in that time. So really leveraging open houses. I was crazy. And I would do 3 open houses a weekend, 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. And I was only at the house for 2 hours. So I don't think that you need to sit at a house for 4 hours. Like, tell these people to come in during the 2 hours that you're going to be there. Putting out signs is awesome. I always ask people when they come to the open house, like, how did you hear about it? And a lot of times they're like, oh, I saw the signs and we decided just to stop in. And all these things work if you do all these things. And I wanted to mention that I was always doing open houses in similar areas. You get to pick what area, what price point, what houses do you want to sell. So I was doing them always in the same area, and then I was doing them every weekend, and I got to email those people that I saw last week, hey, well, I'm doing an open house at this property in the neighborhood. If you want to come stop by, just another way for you to show up if you're wanting to farm an area, and even if it's, it's just as long as it's still in the same zip code or even in the same county, however it's structured for you, I think, that's another way for you to email them and provide value. So I love open houses. And then events has been something I've been doing from the very beginning. So in the beginning, right, I didn't know a lot of people. And I feel as though with events, there's some credibility behind that. If you see someone hosting an event, you're like, oh, okay, they must know a lot of people. Like that just, I feel like expresses confidence. And so my first event was a networking event, and I invited people who were in the real estate industry because that's who I knew. I knew home inspectors, stagers. I had so many lenders there. But just think, like, they are all running their own business, and this is a way for you to meet with them. They're not realtors, and they might know somebody who wants to buy. And if you're showing up like, hey, I want to introduce you to people, and you could potentially get business from them. And then I would use that leverage to invite people. If I had friends that weren't in the real estate business, but they had a side hustle or they had a business, and this was a way for me to show up and be like, hey, come to my networking event. And they could get in front of all these other people to showcase their product and their service. But really it was like all my realtor friends and my real estate friends. And it didn't cost me $1 because I would have these. And to this day, any event I do, it does not cost me anything. And shoot, sometimes I make money because I need sponsors and I need food and I need drinks and I need giveaways. And sometimes I got to pay for the venue, and you show up and you have these other vendors sponsor the event. And so you're not even it's just your time. I think there's just so many ways to leverage events, very similar with open houses, promoting it on social media, running ads, following up with people. When someone invites me to their event, which, we get all these, or used to get all these Facebook events, right? Things are kind of like on pause right now, but I got so many Facebook events, and I would not even remember what I said yes to, right? That's probably most people. You send them an event, to come to your event, they're going to say yes, but they're going to forget. But those people who reach out to me that I said yes to, and they're like, hey, Stevie, I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. And then the day before, hey, Stevie, are you still going to be able to make it by tomorrow? I can't wait to see you. Let's have a drink together. I can't wait to catch up. Well, then I'm like, oh, shit, I better get this in my calendar. And that's when it clicked with me. And I was like, I need to do that to people on my events, because that really held me accountable. And so I mean, it takes time, but this doesn't cost you any money. And this is a way for you to show up and provide value and, make a checklist for yourself of all the follow-ups that you need to do. I think having a professional photographer come, there's so many. You could get someone that will do it for free, and it's exposure for them. Have them take photos so where you can use these photos to leverage yourself in the future on social media, promoting your next event, but also tagging all those people that are in those photos so that it shows up on their social media, and then they have this professional photo of them. I think it's kind of cool. So I love events. Another one that I did when I didn't really have past clients to do customer appreciation events was I remember doing a vision board thing. It was like in January or December, and I just invited all my friends. Like, these are people who know more people and could potentially want to buy or sell. And it wasn't even so much about them. It was like their sphere, them bringing their friends, me meeting new people. I'm just always wanting to network. And then it got into, once I, was doing those events, and then I got, a couple years in the business, and I was having these closings, and then now I could have actual customer appreciation events, right? Now I actually have deals, and hosting those types of events are really cool too and helpful. And then they invite their friends. So I've just been all about events as well. And then even people that you're doing open houses at, you could invite them to your next event, and it just helps build credibility. You make little postcards for it. It looks all official. It's like something that you pay on Canva for $40, tax write-off. There's so many ways to leverage this. I
wanted to piggyback off of that too, because I am definitely big on events. I'm doing one next Friday.
Oh my God.
And at a local coffee shop. And
I love it.
I'm so excited to do it. But what I wanted to say, something that's a little bit like thinking outside of the box. So if you have a property that is not selling, or it's been on the market, just you're not having as much activity, and whether you want this to be exclusive to realtors, mm-hmm. or you want it to be open to the public, hosting events at your listing. So what I mean by that is you can do like a wine and cheese like tasting there at the property, or some sort of like a watch party for a game, or like a real estate mastermind or a vision board. So we did that at one of the luxury properties that I had listed, and it just wasn't selling. And so I got a top agent in the area to come through, and just somebody that like carries like a big following, and then host, like a mastermind. And it was a big hit. I got so many agents to come through with so much more exposure. I looked like a rock star to my clients, because they were like, wow, we've had more realtors in the 2-hour time period that you had than, the 2 months that it was listed. And so it was just a great way to gain even more exposure. And then like putting up signs throughout, like, if you happen to post this home on Instagram, use hashtag whatever, so just things like that, just to ramp up activity and engagement all around. You can, don't be afraid to reach out to your people and like your sellers and say, hey, I would love to host an event at your home on this date. What do you think about that, to get us more buyers and agents in here?
Yeah, no, I love it. So there's a question of, when you get their mailing address, how do you ask for it? So I'm always asking people for their mailing address, because I have a goal to send a certain amount of like cards, note cards, thank you cards to people every week. So anytime I meet somebody new, I'm just like, hey, can I get your address so I can just send you a little something? And no one really gives me any kickback about it. So that's how I'm building up my mailing list, is I'll send them that initial, hey, it was so nice meeting you. Thank you so much. And then they're plugged in. So I'm mailing people every quarter, and now they're going to get another mailer from me with that following quarter. Does that make sense? But I mean, also even like friends on social media, like people who I see, this has been really helpful. People who I notice that are always liking my stuff, commenting, and I'll send them a message and I'll be like, hey, I really appreciate you like showing support. Like it's really beneficial, obviously, to my business, is all social media. So I really appreciate it. Do you mind if I just get your mailing address and send you something? And then it's just a card just saying, thank you so much for always cheering me on. And then now they're in my mailer. So this could be anybody, like someone who you're connected with on LinkedIn and they're constantly liking your things and commenting, or Facebook or Instagram. And you're just like, man, there's people I'm just like, oh, they seem like someone I would be friends with too. Like, I really need to send her a card, like it's all about meeting people and networking. And it definitely took me time. Like when I would go out places, like I would not just spark up conversation with people at the grocery store or at the dog park or even my neighbors. And I feel like, you have to work on that. It was like a self-confidence thing though, for me anyways. And now I spark conversation with everybody, and it's so easy for me. You just think of things to think about or to ask. And I'm all about, someone just tagged me today on Instagram, that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is my favorite book of all time. And that really helps with conversation starters on how to build that relationship with people, and just really just how to talk to a brick wall. Like, this person could be like totally different from you, and it just tells you how to like ask those questions. So I love that. Let's see. So thank you cards for building up my email list. But I have this friend who she has 3 lead sources, right, for her real estate business. And one of them is the dog park. She's like always getting leads for the dog park, talking to neighbors, the gym, volunteering, past clients, I'm mailing them, I'm sending them things, gifts, even just like $5 Starbucks gift cards. Like just the fact that you mail someone a handwritten note and a $5 Starbucks gift card, it might not be much, but anytime someone sends me something like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was so nice of you. And then I'm sharing it on social media and tagging them. And I think it means a lot more than just a text, like, thanks so much. It's just like so much more personable. So those are just some things. I think one other thing that I did was floor duty. So I was all about building up my social media, and I would do it at the office, and I would answer those calls, and I would get those potential buyers and potential listings. Instead of being at home working, I was in the office taking those calls. So I think I'm going to wrap it up with this one thing, and that's with social media. So I always tell people, that's my business. This is how I get all my leads, is social media, is really building this up. But it's just so much more than that. But I think a lot of times people think that what I mean by that, and I want to clarify, is not just, and I love Coffee and Contracts. They are amazing. I love their posts. I love their guides. I love their marketing, everything about it. But some people, I think when they think that I mention social media, that means just posting these like market stats and this photo of this kitchen and in this living room. And then, it's so much more than that. And what I really mean with social media is actually being social and actually engaging with other people and having conversations. Reach out to other people in your marketplace that you know, that you don't know, and be like, hey, let's get together and grab coffee. I see that you own this business. I would love to see how I can help. Can I come by and shoot a video and ask you some questions, and I will promote you on my social media? And it's okay if you have 100 followers. That's 100 more people that they are not in front of, and they could potentially get in front of and get more clients. And you're just going to show up and provide so much value to them. And then you can post it on your LinkedIn, Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube, building up all these platforms for yourself. But then it just will also build so much credibility for you. So social media, what I think has been awesome is showing the behind the scenes things that people really find interesting. Like, I started getting customers because my friends or people I was connected with on these platforms, they saw that I was doing 3 open houses a weekend. Like, don't you think they want to work with a realtor like that, or somebody that never shows up? They have no idea what they're doing, and unless you're showcasing these things, they don't know that you're doing these things. And so I really was able to leverage myself as a newbie on this platform, and even to this day, with social media and open houses. They didn't know that those weren't my listings. They didn't know that nobody came by that day. And I just think that that's what I really mean by it, is doing your lead generating, but just showcasing it on social media. So I was door knocking, and guess what I was doing out on the streets? Hey guys, I am door knocking this neighborhood. I would be with a friend, and I'd be talking about the neighborhood, the community, the market stats, and that's what people see. They're like, oh my gosh, she's going door to door. Like, that's, everybody knows that stuff. You don't have to be in real estate to know that stuff. But also, when I would be in the office, I would showcase throughout the week. Hey guys, I'm going to be here until 5. I'm out here making my calls. If you just happen to want to stop by. And you know what? Hardly people stop by. But it was the fact of me showcasing. I do a photo in front of the agent on duty sign, or if someone, a rep was in there, a lender or somebody, taking a photo or a video with them, educating people. I just think that's where you can really leverage yourself and showcase what you're doing. And at the end of the day, nobody knows that you're doing these things unless you do showcase it. And I was just, before I hopped on here, listening to this other mastermind call, and there were these 3 guys. They were talking about how no one just shows up on social media promoting themselves feeling super confident and comfortable unless you're like extremely cocky. Like, it is out of my comfort zone to this day, and some days I don't want to show up, and I don't feel like people care. Why do they want to look at this stuff? But for some reason, y'all, people care. And I love seeing other realtors showing up, and it motivates me. And that's how I send out all my referrals, is through social media. That's a huge part of my business, is receiving realtor referrals. And that's what people want to see. They want to, there's so many realtors out there. And when a buyer has a choice, like, who are they going to think of here in Jacksonville? I am posting all the things that I'm doing every single day. Of course, they're going to pick me. And just think, if like you, I'm sure each one of you are doing so much every day in your life, in your business. Like, we're all so busy, but nobody knows that unless you showcase that. So I hope this was helpful. I try to just like really touch base a little bit on each one of these things. And these are things that I did in my business. You can Google how to generate business and real estate, and you're going to get hundreds of ideas. And honestly, they all work if you work and you have a plan and you treat this as a business. But what I'm just sharing today is what I have done. And I think, you know, all these things take time, like the open houses and events. Like, you can't just expect like, oh, I'm going to get a lead today, you know. But with FSBOs and expireds, if you combine those things together, you are going to have so much business. And then just think, with FSBOs and expireds, to me, and what I've seen with a lot of successful real estate agents, is that you're not going to be doing that forever. Okay. This is a way for you to build up your business. Like, Amanda moved to a place that she didn't know anybody. if you want now business and that's not expensive, you got to do the FSBOs and expireds. But you're not going to be doing this forever. And just think of that. This is to build up your business and to help provide for your family now. And people that I've seen, at least here anyways, they do that for a couple of years. They build up their database, they get this business, and then they end up becoming referrals, because then now they're getting these past clients, they're getting those referrals, or they decide to hire somebody to make those calls while they're doing referrals and they're just going out on the appointments. So I don't think that doing the calls will be something that you'll have to do for the rest of your life.
I could agree with that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like, you know, heading into my third year now, you know, I'm not making as many. I'm not in the office 5 days a week, cold calling, expired 5 days a week, you know? So like that, I was doing that at one point, and now I've quote unquote earned the right to not have to do that because I do have repeat and referral business coming through. But what I was going to say was, we've gone over a lot of great strategies, and like Stevie has said time after time, they're not going to work if you don't work. So go all in on 2 or 3 platforms and try them out for 90 days. If you do not have success within 90 days, then fine. You know, maybe it doesn't work, or maybe this just isn't the season for it to work for your business. Maybe you can concentrate on something else that would be more worth your time, money, and energy. But go all in on just a couple of the platforms that we have mentioned and try them out for a longer period of time. Don't just, you know, give it 2 weeks and say, oh, this doesn't work, I'm never calling up for sale by owner again. No. Stay consistent with it. Give it a try, and it will eventually come to fruition. I promise you.
I love it. I hope this was helpful for you. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thanks for bearing with me and taking over the wheels, Stevie, as I got all 4 brand new tires on my car, and I am ready to go. I just got one replaced last month, and I was like, nope, take this tire back. So they said, we never take back tires. I said, well, you're going to take back this one. So this was really fun, though. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. If you took a screenshot of this, tag us on social media and let us know, like, if you're going to start this week with expires or social media or mailers or open houses, let us know. We want to keep you accountable. We want to give you the tips and suggestions offline to help you. So that's all I got.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay. Have a great week, guys. Go crush it.
Bye.
Bye.